Social workers just want to take kids away from their parents. After being asked what my major is and responding with social work, this is what I hear 75% of the time. Yeah, social workers do take kids away from their parents, but that's not all that they do. What they actually do is way more complex than that. Social workers are responsible for the initial decision of deciding whether the child will be safe or unsafe in their own home. If they're unsafe, they decide what house they go to, what foster placement they go to, and then if the family is willing to be reunified. If reunification is not possible, they move for termination of parental rights. If this happens, the kid is then freed for adoption. At the beginning of the case, a call or report is made. The caller is asked a series of specific questions about the incident. For instance, the age of the child, what the child looks like, the nature of the abuse, and if any drugs or weapon are present. Next, the social worker decides whether the call warrants an investigation. If the call does warrant an investigation, a child protective investigator or a CPI worker meets with the child first, usually at school. A CPI worker is allowed one meeting in which they don't have to tell the parents, they don't have to notify them, and they don't need permission. Following this meeting, a home visit is completed. During this home visit, an interview happens with the parents and the social worker evaluates the condition of the home. Next, the social worker decides whether the child needs to be removed or if they're safe. A lot of factors go into this decision: the age of the child, the nature of the abuse, and also the severity of the abuse. For instance, a child who is 3 years old or under is considered to be a vulnerable child. This child is more likely to be removed in any type of incident. In a case where sexual abuse is evident, the child is almost always removed regardless of the age. If a child is not removed but services are still needed, follow-up visits are completed to ensure that the child remains safe. A social worker then provides counseling or hooks them up with services that they need such as Meals on Wheels or just family counseling. If the child is removed, a foster care social worker is required to make a placement. Before exploring foster placement, they ask the parent or guardian if there's anyone they feel comfortable giving their child to for a year. If this is impossible, if the parent can't think of anyone they feel comfortable taking care of their child, then a placement is made with foster care. With foster care, a social worker looks for a foster family who has similar characteristics to the child. So for instance, if a person is from African American ethnicity and has the same beliefs as someone, they want to try to fit them with a person that's just like that. They also want to make sure that they're in the same school district. Being removed from your home is a really traumatic experience for a child. If you want to keep as many things constant, such as their school or the same neighborhood or just the same background, that way the trauma is reduced. After placement, a follow-up visit is completed. While these visits are being completed, a foster care social worker is also required to make up a case plan. This case plan must be completed by the parent or guardian in order for them to obtain custody of their child. They usually have around 1 year to complete this. In the case where the parent does not want to comply, just doesn't want to complete the program, the social worker moves for termination of parental rights. Termination of parental rights is the last resort. A social worker does not go for this until every avenue has been exhausted. There's just no way that child will ever be safe with their family ever again. Also, with termination of parental rights, the parent doesn't even have the right to talk to that child anymore. If this is completed, the child is then freed for adoption. In a lot of cases, the child is adopted by the foster parents. These foster parents have spent the last 8 months, 1 year, however long with this child, so they've developed an attachment to them. In the case where the foster parent does not want to adopt them, the social worker contacts people and couples who are looking to adopt a family. But before any adoption can be made, the adopted parents have to go through a series of background checks and evaluation. The object for the social worker is to find this child a forever home. That way they never have to go through this trauma again. If a home is not found by the time the child is 18 years old, they age out of foster care, thus ending their stay in the foster system. The process of removal and investigation is not to be taken lightly. When a child needs to be removed from the home, it's because their safety has been compromised. Yes, social workers do take children away from their families, but only when completely necessary.